Hello students, once again I am welcoming you all in my lecture series on electromagnetic theory for physics 2. The course I am delivering is for third semester BTech. The streams under considerations are computer science and engineering and information technology. So today I am going to deliver the lecture 11. Now what about there? Actually, in the last class, we have started submodule 4.03 on time varying field and Maxwell equations. Today, I will continue the today's session, that is lecture number 2, which will include the concept of displacement current discussion, the wave equation in free space, transverse nature of electromagnetic wave. Now, the questions naturally addressed will be how displacement current can be conceptualized. You have seen in the last lecture, we got the idea about the displacement current term to modify Ampere's circuital law according to the prescription of Maxwell. But the conceptualization part was not done in the last class. So today we will do that how displacement current can be conceptualized. Then we will address the fact that where do we encounter the time varying electric field, the source of displacement current. That means the actual circuit where the time varying electric field we may encounter. Next, we will go for the wave equations, all important electromagnetic wave equations, but in free space. How to get that and what about their implications. Next, we will discuss the all important nature of electromagnetic wave. That means what about the nature of electromagnetic wave, which is the transverse, we all know, but how to get that idea, that today we will clarify. Okay. Now, let us start with the displacement current density. Actually, in the last class, I already mentioned that we got the term displacement current density that was introduced by Maxwell to account for the production of magnetic field in empty space or vacuum. To account for the production of magnetic field in empty space or vacuum, we will come to this part, but before that, let us just recapitulate what we got in the last class. That means the modified form of Ampere's circuital law in the form of curl of B, the magnetic field, equal to mu naught times J plus JD, where J is the conduction current density and JD equal to mu naught epsilon naught del E del T, that means del D del T, the time rate of variation of electric displacement vector called the displacement current density. Actually, this type of modification in the form of the displacement current in Ampere's circuital law, it changes nothing so far as magnetostatics is concerned. But this term is hard to detect in ordinary electromagnetic experiments too. But the changing electric field induces a magnetic field. Look here, changing electric field induces a magnetic field which not only makes it consistent with the equation of continuity as we discussed in the last class, but plays a very crucial role in the propagation of electromagnetic wave. Today we will go to discuss that. So first thing is that the displacement current take account for the production of magnetic field in empty space or vacuum. And second one, displacement current plays a crucial role in the propagation of electromagnetic wave. That part also we will take care today. Now, next question naturally arises, where do we encounter this displacement current density? Because already mentioned that it is very hard to detect in ordinary electromagnetic experiments. Then where do we encounter it or encounter it at all? The answer is yes, we encounter it in the case of charging and discharging of a capacitor, but in an indirect way. Now, what about that? So, to clarify that part, Let us take a simple circuit made up of a capacitor which is being charged by an alternating voltage source V. Now, when the capacitor is being charged, we know that charges pile on the plates of the capacitor. That means charge density and the associated electric field will vary with time. Since charges will pile on the plates of the capacitor as time goes on, so the charge density will change. Naturally, the associated electric field will vary with time. Now, if the capacitor plate is connected by a resistance, that means a simple wire, charges will flow between the plates of the capacitor and set up a naturally time varying electric field. Time varying electric field through the dielectric, that is the say even vacuum between the capacitor plates, which is used as dielectric. This time varying electric field is considered as the displacement current. I am repeating. So when the capacitor is being charged, charges will pile on the plates of the capacitor. Naturally, the charge density and the associated electric field will vary with time. Now, as the capacitor is being connected to a resistance, that means with a wire, naturally, this charge density with that means creating the time varying field through the vacuum will pass, because the vacuum is used here as dielectric unless otherwise specified, to make the continuum of the current, and this time varying electric field is considered as displacement current. Now here the question arises that how do we understand that there is continuum of current, because in the plates between the in the space between the capacitor plates, we consider the dielectric used as vacuum. That means no charge conductor, so that is the charge carrier rather, is present in case of vacuum. That means how the current is continued. Now, how do you understand that current is continued? We all know that if current flows through a conducting wire, then around it a magnetic field is developed. Then how to detect the magnetic field? If we use a simple magnetic needle here, then magnetic needle will be deflected if magnetic field is created here. Now, if you place the magnetic field in the place between the two capacitor plates where you have kept vacuum as dielectric, then to your surprise, you will find that that magnetic needle will be deflected. Magnetic needle which is placed here is found to be deflected. That means it indicates that here is some magnetic field developed. Now, how magnetic field is developed? If current flows through the space between the capacitor plates, that means through vacuum, then only magnetic field can be developed. That means somehow a current is flowing through the space between the capacitor plates to create the magnetic field. That current is called the displacement current. Though it is not measured directly, but its existence is verified by using a magnetic needle in the place between the capacitor plates when there is charging and discharging of a capacitor. That means here the continuity of current through the entire circuit is maintained by the conduction current through this type of conducting wire and by the displacement current through the dielectric medium of the capacitor, here used as vacuum. Very, very important point. That continuity of current through the circuit is maintained by the conduction through this conducting wire and by the time rate of variation of the electric field in the space between the capacitor plates known as the displacement current. That means this form of the modified Ampere's law, that is the differential form, can be written in the form of integral form as v dot dl equal to mu naught I. Mu naught I means mu naught surface integration j dot ds. That means the conduction current. That means the current passing through this part, that is through the conducting wire, plus mu naught epsilon naught del E del T dot ds. Mu naught epsilon naught del E del T dot ds, that is the displacement current due to the change of the electric field in the space between the capacitor plates. Now, it may be mentioned that in quantum electrodynamics, the concept of vacuum polarization is already considered. In quantum electrodynamics, the concept of vacuum polarization is already considered. So I think you are getting the idea where exactly displacement current we may encounter. This is a very natural thing, that is charging and discharging of a capacitor, and a long-term unresolved problem that who makes the current continuum in the place between the capacitor plates in vacuum were resolved by introducing the concept of this displacement current here. Okay. Now, let us move to the fact that displacement current density and conduction current density since create side by side the magnetic field, what we have seen. Then what about their relationship? Are they same or there is something different? So displacement current we will find now equals the conduction current density. That means displacement current density equals the conduction current density. Current density means current per unit area. Let us verify that. So for the purpose, let us consider a circuit which connects a time varying voltage source across the capacitor C, whose area is A and separation between the plates is D. Now, when a voltage is applied to a capacitor, obviously a current will flow through it. What about that current? That current is I. I equal to dq dt, very common one, that is rate of change of charge, where Q can be written as C into V, the instantaneous charge Q, where C is the capacitance of the capacitor and V is the potential used here. So capacitance will not change with time. That's why from dq dt we are getting I equal to C dV dt. For parallel plate capacitor, we all know that C equal to A epsilon naught by D, where A is the area of the plates, epsilon naught is free space permittivity if the dielectric is vacuum, and D is the separation between the plates. That means I, the current is written as A epsilon naught by D, then dV dt. That is A epsilon naught by D, then d dt of E into D, where E into D equal to V, where E is the electric field, that is the relationship with voltage and the electric field. That means the displacement current density is coming out from here. How? Very, very interesting one. Just take a look. I equal to A epsilon naught. Now this D will cancel out with this because D means the separation between the plates. It does not depend upon time. So what we are left with? D dt of E. That means del E del T. Now look here. The total derivative converted to partial derivative because electric field E is a function of position coordinates as well as time. So here you are taking the derivative with respect to time only. That's why it is a partial derivative. So I by A means epsilon naught del E del T. And that is nothing but del D del T, the time rate of variation of electric displacement vector, the so-called JD, the displacement current density, whereas I by A, with which we started, was the conduction current density. That means displacement current density is zero outside the plate, we already have seen, but has a definite value between the plates and is exactly equal to the conduction current density outside the plate. So with which we started I equal to dq dt. From there we ultimately got I by A, and from there we are getting it to be equal to JD. So displacement current density is equal to conduction current density outside the plate, and displacement current density value between the plates, it is given by del D del T. That means we can conclude the conduction current is zero in empty space because there is no current carrier is present. That means the charges are present. Whereas displacement current, which exists only for time varying electric field, is zero for steady field in a conductor. So conduction current 0 in free space or vacuum because of absence of free charge carrier, where displacement current exists because of time varying field, provided rather if time varying field is there. On the other hand, displacement current is 0 for steady field in a conductor where conduction current exists. Okay. Now, let us finally come to the point, the displacement current versus conduction current. So displacement current cannot be detected directly still now, but its existence is confirmed by the electromagnetic theory of light. And we have so far identified that displacement current is different from the conduction current. Now, let us sum up them point-wise. Displacement current is a current because it produces magnetic field. We have seen that. So, displacement current is a current because it produces magnetic field, though it is not associated with the motion of charge carrier. That's why displacement current has a finite value in vacuum where there are no charges of any type. Okay. Magnitude of the displacement current is equal to the time rate of variation of electric displacement vector D. So when field does not vary with time, it is 0. So for steady field displacement current, we can't expect. Displacement current makes total current continuous across the discontinuity in a conduction current. A few minutes back in the charging and discharging of a capacitor, we have seen that displacement current makes the total current continuous across the discontinuity in a conduction current. Displacement current doesn't obey Ohm's law. For conduction current, we know that J equal to sigma into E according to Ohm's law, where sigma is the conductivity. But in case of displacement current, as sigma is 0, there is no associated charge carrier. So displacement current density expression we consider as del D del T. Displacement current in a good conductor is negligible compared to the conduction current at any frequency lower than the optical frequency, that is 10 to the power 15 Hz. So definitely in our due course we will verify it, that displacement current in a good conductor where large number of free charge carriers are present is negligible compared to conduction current at any frequency lower than the optical frequency. So, magnetic field, finally, we can conclude that magnetic field is produced by both conduction current, which arises due to drift of electrons in a conductor, and also by the displacement current, which arises due to the time varying electric field. So, magnetic field is produced by both conduction current and displacement current. Conduction current arises due to drift motion of the charge carrier, that is electron, and displacement current arises due to time varying electric field. So students, I think that all of you understand now what about displacement current and what about the conduction current and what is the displacement current role in modification of Ampere's circuital law. Let us now move to somewhere else, even much more importance of displacement current existence. We will now find, which I already mentioned in my today's introduction, that is in the form of wave equation of electric field and the magnetic field. So, electromagnetic wave equations in free space as per our syllabus. Now, Maxwell's four fundamental equations of electromagnetic theory we have seen, it relates electric field and the magnetic field to charge density rho and the current density J, the two sources for electric field and the magnetic field respectively. Now, since we have to consider it in free space, so in free space charge density rho equal to 0, conductivity sigma will be 0, mu r the relative permeability equal to epsilon r the relative permittivity equal to 1. So Maxwell's four equations become del dot E equal to 0. The Gauss's law of electrostatics, the differential form now changed to del dot E equal to 0 because rho equal to 0 in free space. Del dot B equal to 0 remain as usual, that is as equation number 2. Del cross E equal to minus del B del T, that is Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, remain as usual. And the fourth one, that is modified Ampere's law, now changed to del cross B equal to mu naught epsilon naught del E del T, because mu naught J, that is the conduction current term, will be 0 because sigma equal to 0 in free space. Okay. Let us now take curl of equation 3. Let us take curl of equation 3. So del cross E equal to minus del cross del B del T equal to minus del T of del cross B. Here we have interchanged the space derivative as well as the time derivative because they are independent of each other. So we can interchange their position without changing the result. Okay. Now, minus del T of del cross B. Look at equation number 4. Del cross B equal to mu naught epsilon naught del E del T. So, we have simply placed it here. That is minus del T of del cross B equal to minus mu naught epsilon naught del T of del E del T from equation 4. Now, del cross E. If you go for vector calculus, the result will be del of del dot E minus del square E. Del of del dot E minus del square E. That result you already have done in first year mathematics. So you can again cross check it, that del cross E means del of del dot E minus del square E equal to minus mu naught epsilon naught del 2E del T2. Now look here. Del dot E in free space is 0 from equation 1, that is Gauss's law in free space. So this term will cancel out, and ultimately what we got, that del square E equal to mu naught epsilon naught del 2 E del T2. 2 minus sign will cancel out, and finally we are getting that the second order differential equation in terms of space and time derivatives of electric field as del square E equal to mu naught epsilon naught del 2E del T2. Similarly, from equation 4, by taking curl on both sides, what we can get, that del cross B equal to mu naught epsilon naught del cross del E del T, because del cross B, look here, mu naught epsilon naught del cross del E del T. Next, space and time derivatives we will interchange. So mu naught epsilon naught del T of del cross E, just like this step. Now what about del cross E? Del cross E from equation of 3, that is Faraday's laws, is minus del B del T. So let us put the value, mu naught epsilon naught del T of minus del B del T from equation 3. From equation 3. So just similar to this one. Okay. Now del cross B, again from rule of vector calculus, is del of del dot B minus del square B, that is equal to minus mu naught epsilon naught del 2B del T2. So using the rule of vector calculus we get this. Now del dot B equal to 0 from equation number 2. So let us put the value here, and we will finally get del square B equal to mu naught epsilon naught del 2B del T2. That means again it is the second order differential equation in terms of space and time derivatives of magnetic field. That we got the second order differential equation for electric field, and this is for magnetic field. Now what about mu naught epsilon naught, and what about the nature of these expressions? Let us now clarify. Now look here. These two equations, what we got, these two equations have the form of well-known vector Helmholtz equations. Very, very important. These two equations have the form of well-known vector Helmholtz equations, the general wave equations, in the form of, more popularly called the general wave equations, in the form of del square psi equal to 1 by v square del 2 psi del T2. Okay. Del square psi equal to 1 by v square del 2 psi del T2. This is the space derivative. This is the time derivative. Now look here. What about V? V is the velocity of electromagnetic wave propagation in material medium, given by 1 by square root of epsilon into mu, where epsilon, the permittivity of the material medium, is expressed as epsilon naught into epsilon r, where epsilon r obviously relative permittivity and epsilon naught is that of the free space, and obviously mu equal to mu naught into mu r. It is the permeability of the material medium, mu r being the permeability relative one, and this is in the free space or the vacuum. So if we compare with our two obtained equations for electric field and magnetic field with Vector-Helmholtz equation, we can very easily identify that these two expressions are taking the shape of the wave equations, provided mu naught epsilon naught give us 1 by velocity square, where mu naught and epsilon naught are the permeability and permittivity of free space or vacuum. Now let us take a look. What about the expression coming out here? 1 by root mu naught epsilon naught. You know the value of epsilon naught, 8.854 into 10 to the power minus 12 farad per meter, and mu naught equal to 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7 Henry per meter. The value of the free space permittivity and permeability, and if you take 1 by square root of this, to your surprise you will find something very much known to you, that is 2.9978 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, which is nothing but c, the velocity of light as well as electromagnetic wave in free space or vacuum. So I'm repeating it once more. Just take a look here, and this is the Vector-Helmholtz equation. So if you compare, their relations are coming exactly very similar, provided in place of 1 by v square, we are getting it mu naught epsilon naught. Now by putting the value of mu naught epsilon naught and taking their square root inverse, we will find 2.9978 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, that is c, the velocity of electromagnetic wave as well as light in free space or vacuum. So finally these two equation becomes del square E equal to 1 by c square del 2E del T2, and del square B equal to 1 by c square del 2B del T2. That means just compare with it. These two are also the wave equation in terms of electric field and the magnetic field. So these two represents that electromagnetic wave in the form of electric field and the magnetic field in the form of electromagnetic wave traveling through free space with velocity of light, that is c. So definitely light is an electromagnetic wave. So light is an electromagnetic wave. Very important. You are getting the idea. Okay. Now let us come to another very important part of this session, that is solutions of the equations. Solutions of the equations. Let us now consider the plane wave solution of the electric and the magnetic field of the form ERT equal to E0 e to the power I k dot r minus omega t, and BRT equal to B0 e to the power I k dot r minus omega t. Here r and t, obviously the position vector and the time, that means at time t at position r, electric field and magnetic field are represented by this. So what about E0? It is the peak value of the electric field, that means the amplitude of electric field. It is the amplitude of the magnetic field. What about K? K is the propagation vector. R is the position vector, as already I mentioned, and omega is the angular frequency of the wave. Please consider here the propagation vector k normally written as small k, but since here we are taking in 3 dimensions, so we will encounter the unit vector k along z. That's why I have used a different symbol a little bit. So it is the propagation vector representing the direction of propagation of electromagnetic wave. Now let us apply these solutions to the Maxwell's equations. The first two equations we have taken, del dot E equal to 0, that is Gauss's law of electrostatics in free space, and this is the Gauss's law of magnetostatics. And then we apply the plane wave solution in the first equation, say with respect to E. So del dot E equal to 0. Now what about del? I cap del del x plus j cap del del y plus k cap del del z. We all know that is the vector differential operator del dot. Now E, what about E? E0 e to the power I k dot r minus omega t. Now let us write it explicitly. Okay. So this part is written as usual. Now come here. E0. What about E0 vector? I0x plus J0y plus K0z. So the XYZ components, it is a vector. So we have represented like this. Okay. Now e to the power I. Look here. Kxx plus Kyy plus Kzz. That means K dot R. Because we know R is represented as, what is R? The position vector of any point in the electromagnetic field. So R equal to Ix plus Jy plus Kz. And what about K? The propagation vector is written as Ikx plus Jky plus Kkz. Okay. This K is the unit vector along the Z direction. So to avoid confusion, I have used here some different symbol for propagation vector. Clear? Now, when we are considering K dot R, that means K dot R means Kxx plus Kyy plus Kzz. That I have written here minus omega t. So this is del dot E equal to 0. Now let us follow the next step. So next step means we will take the dot product. So I dot I will come, J dot J will come, and K dot K will come, where in each of the three terms, this is a common factor because other terms will cancel out. That means I dot J, I dot K, similarly others will be 0. So what we are getting? Del dot E equal to 0 equal to, let us take the first term, I dot I. So del del x of E0x into e to the power I kxx plus kyy plus kzz minus omega t plus del del y, that means j dot j. So del del y of E0y e to the power I kxx plus kyy plus kzz minus omega t. And what about the third term? K dot k will come. That means del del z of E0z into e to the power I factor. Clear? Now just take a look. When we will take the derivative del del x of this factor, mind it, it is the amplitude. So it will not vary with x. So it will come outside. And from this term, what we will get? This term will remain as usual. Along with it, since it is x derivative, we will get into ikx. Similarly, from the second one, E0 I, y will come out. Then from here, we will get iky, del del y, into e to the power I this factor. And from the third term, what we will get? E0z will come out. Then into ikz e to the power I this factor. Okay. That means here we are getting that E0x ikx e to the power I kxx plus kyy plus kzz minus omega t plus E0y into iky e to the power I kxx plus kyy plus kzz minus omega t plus E0z into ikz e to the power I kxx plus kyy plus kzz minus omega t. That means now we are clubbing them or combining them. What about the common factor? This is the common factor. Now we are combining this to get the old form, that is e to the power I k dot r minus omega t. Now come here. What about the common factor? I is the common factor into E0x kx plus E0y ky plus E0z into kz. So del dot E equal to 0, and finally it takes the form e to the power I k dot r minus omega t into I times this factor. Okay. So what about this? Obviously E0 dot k or k dot E0, because we know in case of dot product A dot B equal to B dot A. That means commutative rule holds here. So del dot E equal to 0 equal to e to the power I k dot r I times k dot E0 or E0 dot k. Now look at the next factor. We are just rearranging it a little bit. I k dot E0, this term we are taking this side. Okay, just transferring the position. What we are getting? E0 e to the power I k dot r minus omega t, because it is simply product. Now what about this? I k dot. Now E0 e to the power I k dot r minus omega t. That means nothing but electric field, its plane wave solution we considered like this. So I k dot e finally comes out to be 0. That means k dot e equal to 0. So k is perpendicular to E. That means propagation vector is perpendicular to electric field. Propagation vector is perpendicular to electric field. Similarly, from equation 2, that is del dot B equal to 0, and using the solution for B, that means B0 e to the power I k dot r minus omega t. What we are finding? Del dot B equal to 0, just like this, e to the power I k dot r minus omega t into I times B0 x kx plus B0 y ky plus B0 z kz. And naturally, next step will be e to the power I k dot r minus omega t, I times combine them k dot b0. Let us now rearrange it. I k dot b0, taking this term here, e to the power I k dot r minus omega t, we are getting I k dot b. So we are getting I k dot b to be 0 means k dot b equal to 0. So k is perpendicular to b. That means propagation vector is perpendicular to electric field. Propagation vector is perpendicular to magnetic field. So electric field, magnetic field are perpendicular to k, the direction of propagation of electromagnetic wave. That means electromagnetic wave is transverse in character. So electric field and magnetic field are perpendicular to k, the direction of propagation of electromagnetic wave. So electromagnetic wave is transverse in character. So what about the nature? It is transverse in character. Again, from del cross E equal to minus del B del T, the equation number 3, Maxwell's, and del cross B equal to mu naught epsilon naught del E del T, the equation number 4, which is Maxwell's modification of Ampere's law in free space, and using the same procedure with the plane wave solutions of electric field and magnetic field, it is found that K cross E equal to omega B and k cross b equal to minus mu naught epsilon naught into omega e. That means b is perpendicular to the plane containing k and e is perpendicular to the plane containing k and b. That means b, k, and e form orthogonal triad. B, K, and E form, that is magnetic field, propagation vector, and electric field, form orthogonal triad. Now, finally, what about the nature of the electromagnetic wave? Graphically, how it is represented. It is basically simple harmonic motion, what we are representing here. Along Y, we have taken electric field, along Z, the magnetic field, and along X, the direction of propagation. Now look here, this is the simple harmonic propagation of electric field. Harmonic wave, we are getting it. This is the profile along Y. So in half cycles, they are changing. Now along Z, it is the change of B. It is perpendicular to E along Z. This is the change of B in the complete cycle. Okay. And what about the propagation direction K, which is perpendicular to both Y and Z and moving with velocity C in free space. So this is the representation, graphical representation of electromagnetic wave in free space or vacuum. That is the propagation of electromagnetic wave in free space or vacuum. And the different examples of electromagnetic wave with which you are familiar is very much. One is our visible light, then the cosmic ray, the gamma ray, the X-ray, all belong to the same category moving with velocity c. But since their wavelength and frequency varies, their working activity varies, and accordingly their name has been changed. Okay. So I think all the things what we are supposed to discuss in today's class, all we have done, and I hope you enjoyed the class. So thank you, my dear students. So we will meet you in the next class with some new interesting phenomenon. Okay, till then, bye.